Meanwhile, the top Democrat, President Joe Biden, he'll join striking auto workers on the picket lines today. The president will meet with union members in Wayne County, Michigan. Sources are telling NBC News that UAW President Shawn Fain is also expected to be there. He had invited Biden to join the picket line. Tens of thousands of United Auto Workers walked off their jobs nearly 2 weeks ago after their contracts with General Motors, Ford, and Stellantis expired. They're demanding higher wages and better benefits, which President Biden says he supports.
I think the UAW gave up an incredible amount back when the automobile industry was going under. They give everything from the pensions on, and they saved the automobile industry. And I think that now that the industry is roaring back, they should participate in the benefit of that. And if you take a look at the significant increase in salaries for the executives and growth of the industry, they should benefit from it. So yes, I always support the UAW.
According to the White House, this is the first time a sitting president has visited a picket line in modern times. But it's not the first time for Biden. Back in 2019, when he was running for president, Biden joined several strikers, including a UAW picket line in Kansas City. Joining us now, White House reporter for the Associated Press, Darlene Superville. Darlene, great to see you, as always. We'll turn to the UAW in a moment, but let's start with that brand new NBC News poll. Some pretty surprising numbers, to be candid, and worrisome ones for Democrats, and in particular the Biden campaign, on issues of defending democracy, which just seems hard to fathom, but also on ones that voters may be thinking about as they head into the ballot box, issues like the economy, crime, immigration, and border security. What's your take?
Good morning, Jonathan. Well, those are all issues that President Biden has been struggling on since he took office, certainly the economy, immigration. I think one of the things you see with the immigration number is a carryover from the Trump years, where he was very pro sealing the border, blocking immigrants, and he was just viewed stronger on that issue by the public than Democrats are. And so some of that would seem to me to be just a bit of a carryover from that.
So, Darlene, let's talk about the president's trip later today. We just heard him there. He's always been pro-labor. He identifies himself as being very friendly with the unions. He's had experience on picket lines before. But it also seems to me this feels like a bit of a general election play, right? Almost an unofficial start to this campaign, because the president's going there today. We know who Donald Trump is going there tomorrow. Trump's skipping the Republican debate, trying to win some support of rank and file union members, even if not perhaps the leadership. And Michigan is one of the most important states on the battlefield.
That's right. Michigan is one of the handful of states that will help decide the 2024 presidential election next year. And so overlaying the visit by both President Biden and former President Trump is 2024 presidential politics. And both men kind of using the visit to try to appeal or tap into some of the angst amongst working class people about the economy and their jobs and so forth. The UAW and former President Trump have been concerned about President Biden's push for automakers to move toward electric vehicles. And that's one thing that we'll see former President Trump trying to exploit perhaps tomorrow when he visits. And then you have the president who has said that he's the most pro-union president ever in the history of the United States of America, going there to walk a picket line to kind of demonstrate that, in fact, he is behind the UAW workers.
Yeah, and certainly the White House trying to create some important images here for the president. And again, as you say, Darlene, trying to stand with a union movement. White House reporter for the Associated Press, Darlene Superville, thank you so much for joining us this morning and getting us started.